Hi, this is Brianna from Court TV, and I'm here to present to you guys the case of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson. Today I'm going to be focusing on the facts and the trial of the case. I hope you guys stay tuned. The double homicide of Nicole Brown Simpson, 35 years old, and Ronald Goldman, 25 years old, occurred sometime after 10 p.m. on Sunday, June 12, 1994. The crime occurred in the Brentwood community of Los Angeles. The victims knew each other, but were not believed to be romantically involved. The crimes occurred within the small front walk area of Nicole's condominium at 875 South Bundy Drive. Ron Goldman was a waiter at a nearby upscale restaurant, the Mezzaluna, and had been just getting off work at 9:30 that night when a call came to the restaurant from Nicole's mother. Nicole had hosted a dinner party at the restaurant earlier that evening for her family, and the mother had discovered that her reading glasses were missing before she returned home to Orange County. She called the restaurant to inquire whether anyone had found them. A quick search of the restaurant was unveiling, but the glasses were found in the street in front of the restaurant where the mother had embarked the family car after dinner. The glasses were retrieved and the mother was advised. A second call to the Mezzaluna came from Nicole 5 minutes later. She talked to Ron Goldman. Ron agreed to deliver the glasses to Nicole that night, and they were put in an envelope and given to him. It is believed that he went to his nearby apartment and changed from his waiter's uniform before delivering the glasses to Nicole, on his way to the marina for a planned late outing with his friends. Nicole had been married to O.J., 10 years older than herself, an Afro-American football legend in the 1970s, and was the mother of his 2 children, Sydney and Justin, who lived with her at the Bundy Drive condo. They occupied together an estate at 360 N Rockingham, also in Brentwood, about 2 miles from the crime scene. O.J. was living there at the time of the crimes. Why Nicole and O.J.'s marriage ended is not clear. Some hinted it was because she did not have time to date others, since her and O.J. married shortly after she graduated high school. It also could have been due to the physical abuse toward her. There was a late-hour incident on New Year's Eve 1989 when he beat her severely, and that resulted in judicial notice. He was also ordered to undergo therapy, which he did, but Nicole filed for divorce in February 1992 nonetheless. There were other accounts of spousal abuse, and the prosecution would eventually imply that cause of divorce was that abuse. There was an incident involving an October 25, 1993 911 call. It was a time in which the reconciliation was in process, and O.J. discovered a picture album with photos of Nicole's former boyfriends, according to the publicized interpretation of the 911 tapes. O.J. became so angry over that, Nicole called the cops. During the call, O.J. raged in the background, and Nicole sounded as much worried as frightened. The 911 operator asked several leading questions to determine whether Nicole was in fear for her life. She clearly was not, but she was almost certain that she was about to receive a severe beating. Cato witnessed the incident and the police did come. No blows were struck, no one was arrested, but O.J. had kicked in the French doors in order to gain access to the interior of Nicole's house and confront her on some issues. Nicole suddenly decided to sell the Bundy property in the week or 2 before the crimes. Little has been offered on this subject to know for sure why she wanted to sell the property. On Sunday, June 12th, the couple's 8-year-old daughter, Sydney, was to participate in a dance recital at Paul Revere School in Brentwood. Nicole's parents had driven up from Orange County, and a dinner following the late afternoon recital was planned at the Mezzaluna restaurant. O.J. had always been close to not only Nicole but to her family as well. But on this occasion, Nicole made it clear that O.J. was not welcome to sit with the family at the recital, and that was not being invited to the dinner afterward. He was peeved and dragged a chair to the farthest corner of the auditorium and watched the presentation from there. A videotape made by a member of the audience, however, showed that O.J. was cordial and warm to Nicole's mother and father outside the performance, and embraced his children enthusiastically. Nicole's party dined from 7 to 8:30, and following dinner, Nicole walked with her children to a nearby ice cream parlor. Nicole's mother was the last person known to have spoken to her in a phone conversation at about 9:45 p.m. On Sunday morning, O.J. went to a local country club for a little golf and in the afternoon played cards with friends there. During the afternoon, he made a brief and heated phone call, which what was believed to be a been with Nicole. The last time Cato saw OJ was about 9:40 p.m. At that time, OJ's bags were not yet on the porch. When Cato next saw the porch at 10:55, the bags were still stacked there to be loaded into the limo, which was getting ready to take him to his Chicago flight. At about 10:23, the limo driver Alan Park arrived early at Simpson's Rockingham Avenue estate for the 10:45 pickup. He parked near one of the gates of the estate. He had a cigarette or two. He tried on the intercom from about 10:40 to 10:50 and consulted with his boss via the car phone how long to wait if there was no answer. Finally, at 10:55, he saw a shadowy figure, a 6-foot-tall Afro-American in black clothing, go into the house, whereupon the lights in the house went on. Cato seemed to come out of nowhere and pass down the driveway without acknowledging. About 30 seconds after the black man went into the house, Simpson came on the intercom, apologized for oversleeping, and remotely opened the gate. 5 minutes later, Simpson came out. Simpson, Park, and Cato loaded the limo and left it for LAX. 2 miles south on Bundy Drive, Nicole's dog was observed running loose in the street. He was barking, crazy, hysterical, according to reports, and acting in an extremely agitated way. The dog was seen by Nicole's neighbor, Louis Karp, at about 10:45 and was taken in tow by a man, Stephen Schwab, out walking his dog a few minutes later. Schwab discovered that the dog's feet and legs were covered with blood. He tried to determine the cause of the dog's distress, but eventually was unable to do more than take the dog back to his apartment building. Being unable to keep the dog in his own apartment overnight, he consigned the dog to a neighbor. After the dog was in the neighbor's apartment for a few minutes, the animal became so agitated that the neighbor and his wife decided to take the dog out in the streets and hope that he would lead them to his house. In that way, they followed the Akika to Nicole's front walk, and after going a few feet up that, they realized that there was a woman's body at the foot of the steps, and a river of blood issuing from there. Bostape ran to nearby houses to raise an alarm, and from one of them the police were called. Patrolman Risk established about 12:15 that a woman had been murdered there, and a few feet nearby, in an alcove of shrubs, there was a dead body of a second victim, a young man. Eventually, the coroner determined that the female victim was Nicole Brown Simpson, OJ's ex-wife. She had taken a few knife wounds, but a massive and fatal wound where her throat had been slashed. The man was Ronald Goldman, a Mezzaluna waiter. He had been savagely butchered with a knife on the left side of his head and neck, and he also suffered 4 deep stab wounds, one of which may have been the immediate cause of death. Both victims bled much, and the scene of the murders were horrific. The defendant, O.J. Simpson, was charged with 2 charges of first-degree murder for the murders of his ex-wife Nicole and Ronald Goldman. The People v. Simpson was an example of a criminal trial by jury. The judge was Lance A. Ito, and the trial took place at the Los Angeles County Superior Court, Clara Shortridge Faults Criminal Justice Center in downtown LA. A quick summary of the trial's chronology is as followed. On June 12, 1994, Nicole and Ronald were stabbed to death. On June 13, 1994, O.J. Simpson was notified of the murders. Robert Shapiro was contacted on Simpson's behalf on this day as well. June 16th, the funerals of the victims are held. June 24th, the grand jury is recused. July 8th, 6-day preliminary hearing ends with Judge Kathleen Kennedy Powell's ruling there is sufficient evidence for O.J. Simpson to stand trial on 2 counts of first-degree murder. July 22nd, O.J. pleads absolutely 100% not guilty. August 18th, defense counsel files motion to obtain personal records of Detective Mark Furman. September 2nd, District Attorney files motion to sequester jury. September 9th, District Attorney announces that the death penalty will not be sought. September 19th, Judge Ito upholds the legality of the search of Simpson's home. November 3rd, the jury panel is selected. December 8th, alternate jury was selected. January 4th, 1995, defense waives hearing for challenge of prosecution's DNA evidence. January 11th, the jury is sequestered, hearing on admissibility of domestic abuse evidence. January 24, 1995, the trial opens. February 3, 1995, Nicole Brown's sister Denise testifies about O.J.'s abuse of her sister. March 15, 1995, Detective Furman cross-examined by defense attorney F. Lee Bailey. April 11th, the LAPD criminalist Dennis Fung concedes, under the cross-examination by defense Barry Schneck, that he did have a few procedural errors. April 21st, after 3 sheriff's deputies are reassigned, the jurors protest. They first refuse to come to court, and then they show up dressed in black. July 6th, the prosecution rests. August 18th, Superior Court Judge John Reed rules that Captain York's testimony is not relevant to Simpson's trial. August 29th, Furman tapes are played in court, with the jury absent. August 31st, Judge Ito rules that the jury will hear 2 excerpts of the tapes. September 5th, the jury hears the excerpts. September 6th, with jury absent, Mark Furman appears on the stand. September 7th, the defense announces that Simpson won't testify on his own behalf. September 8th, appeals court rejects Ito's jury instruction. September 11th, defense refuses to rest their case due to the unresolved question of judge's instruction to jury concerning Furman. Judge Ito orders prosecution to begin its rebuttal. September 18th, prosecution conditionally rests its case. September 19th, Detective Van Hatter is cross-examined by Shapiro. September 21st, both defense and prosecution rest their case. September 26th and 27th, Clark and Darden deliver prosecution's closing arguments. September 27th and 28th, Cochran and Scheck deliver defense's closing arguments. September 29th, the case goes to the jury. October 2nd, after less than 4 hours, jury announces that they have reached a verdict.